welcome, dear viewers. The FOSS and Mozilla Community of IIT has been a long-standing and reputed university which runs as an umbrella branch of Mozilla International. The Mozilla Foundation works to ensure that the Internet remains a public resource that is open and accessible to all of us, alongside FOSS advocating for free and open source software. We are collaborating to build a safe, fair, and inclusive digital marketplace that all consumers can trust. Today is a very important day for our community and throughout the globalizing tech world as we mark the World Software Freedom Day of 2022. Joined our hands together this year with an amazing panel of industrial tech startup individuals to talk more about their journey from when they turned their idea into reality. Obviously, this path has its own set of struggles and complexities, and the path towards the very end goal is not very easy. Today, we have some extremely talented entrepreneurs to talk to us a bit more about that journey. Please welcome our very own Mr. Suresh Michael Peiris, founder at Inforwaves and community organizer for the Google Developer Project of Sri Lanka. To start off the discussion, Mr. Suresh, could you please tell our viewers a bit more about yourself and your startup?
Hi. First of all, thank you very much, the Mozilla Club of IIT, for having me in the session. To start off the session, I would like to share some insights and some of the work we do in Inforwaves. So Inforwaves is a product development agency. It's located in Colombo. And currently we do offer services in terms of mobile application development, web application development, as well as SaaS solutions, software service solutions. And we do cater to brands that are there in Sri Lanka, and also we cater to some of the global brands as well, such as Dialog, Fonterra, Dirana, and some of the other key hotel brands as well. So in terms of our expertise, we hold expertise in terms of ERP development, cloud solutions development, blockchain, ML, AI, and those are mainly our expertise we hold at Inforwaves. And we do have a team of 10 people right now. And yeah, that's a brief about us.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Very interesting. Obviously, a question that pops up into everyone's head when talking about startups is, when do you know that you want to embark on the startup journey? For you, Mr. Suresh, when was that thought that came into your head, like, right, I want to be my own boss. I want to create my own startup. What was that thought process like for you?
Yeah, to share the background, I would like to share a small story with you. So I was studying my O-levels at my school. So during that time, I was doing small projects such as freelance projects, websites, mobile applications, and all. So also I took part in many community events organized by different organizations such as GTG, Idea Mart, and SCF, and there were so many tech communities that are available. So I was taking part in these community events, and I was able to gather some contacts by taking part in these community events and networking events. So I saw an increase of the projects that I'm getting from all my contacts, and I saw there are much more things that I could do as a company. So then when I joined IIT after my A-levels, I found these two passionate individuals who were like-minded. So I spoke to them, and we came up with this idea to convert our freelance business into a corporate, like a startup, a real business. So that's where we initiated this idea of Inforwaves. And then, being a company, it gives you much more credibility. So you can even reach to big clients, and so there are much more benefits as a company. So I would like to share these in the further questions. So that's when we actually came up with this idea to start our own service company. And yeah, that's about it.
Another question that I have personally, Mr. Suresh, is obviously when comparing the startup career path to the corporate career path, what made you so sure that, yes, this startup career path is what's good for me, what's right for me, in comparison to a standard 9-to-5 corporate career path?
Yes. So as soon as I finished my A-levels, I actually wanted to explore this startup path as well. So what I did was I joined the startup called Audoc. You might have heard about the startup called Audoc.
Yes.
So I was an employee for Audoc back then. And then it was one of the key healthcare startups in Sri Lanka. And when I was in my third year, I was an intern for WSO2. So I actually explored the differences between the startup culture and the corporate culture, because that's really important when you're growing businesses. Because when your business scales up to the next level, it's really important to know about what the corporate culture looks like and what are the main practices of the corporate culture. Also, to give a background about it, when I was in Outlook, I had to do many responsibilities, and in terms of mobile application development, web application development, because being a startup, you get to do multiple things, not just focusing on what your role is. So you get to do multiple things. So with the experience I got from Outlook, I actually applied that experience to my startup as well. In my startup, we get to do multiple things, such as, for an example, we get to do finance work, we get to do management related tasks, and also we get to do like HR related tasks and all. So it's not just that you're working on some product or development. It's all about doing like multitasking and doing multiple things. Because I think that's one of the most important things that I see in startup culture, because you get to learn multiple things.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Very enlightening, Mr. Suresh. So another question that comes up is that when you start a startup, the very initial time period of operations is extremely volatile for a startup. In this time period, did you have any like goals and accomplishments that you wanted to achieve during that time? And did you have to abandon some of these goals perhaps to further extend the longevity of your startup?
Definitely. So when I was initially starting up my business, I actually wanted to like the first thing that came to my mind was find the right team, because without the right team you can't move further. So that's one of the key steps that I had to one of the key decisions that I had to make during that period. So as I mentioned in my previous question, I met these two individuals from IIT, and one of the members is from my school itself, and the other one is from IIT. And then I had a discussion with them, and we shared our expertises and we shared our insights on doing a business together. Because we had to be like-minded if you are starting a business, because you had to be comfortable to work with them as well. So so finding the initial team is one of the challenging thing, and they should be willing to take responsibilities in the early stage, because when it comes to the early stage, it's the most hardest part in the business. Like it's actually so challenging. So in that case, I'm so lucky to have two like-minded individuals with me, and then with their support, I was able to pull up the business. So also to talk about some of the challenges in the earlier stages is that finding the right capital. So earlier, being undergraduates, we didn't have much capital to put at the early stages. So what we did was we raised funds by doing multiple freelance projects. So that's the main source of income for us back then. And then we invested the freelance, the payments that we are getting into different products that we are also developing right now. And that's the main source of income that we observed in the earlier stages.
Nice. Now, a keen question that I have, Mr. Suresh, is the work ethic, the work culture. Now, you talked about finding like-minded individuals during the earlier stages of your startup. Do you still how do you practice? What sort of work culture do you practice within your startup now? Like how compared to the current set larger corporations? Do you have any differences in the mindset of work culture, or what's that scenario like?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of the flat work culture, because when talking about flat work culture, there's no hierarchy. Everyone is equal. Everyone's treated equally. Because the main importance of this flat work culture is that it provides you a collaborative learning environment to learn from each other. So for an example, the companies such as WSO2, 99X, and those big companies are also adopting this work culture, the flat work culture. Because I can actually share a small experience when I was intern at WSO2. So there were seniors and there were juniors. So there were instances where the seniors were helping the juniors, and there were when the juniors were helping seniors. So it's all about the collaborative learning, the learning culture that we promote. So also it gives you the value to all the team members. They all have different values. It's everyone is treated equally, and everyone has their unique value. So I would like that work culture, because that promotes a really good value to all the teammates. And
Now, moving on to the next question, Mr. Suresh. So obviously, being the boss of your own company, how has that changed you as a person? What sort of skills, multitasking, time management, financial management, teamwork skills, how has this sort of environment in your current stature changed you as a person? What sort of skills have you had to pick up?
Yeah, so good point. Since you mentioned about time management, so I think that's one of the most important skills that I gained throughout the period. So, for an example, doing a full-time degree as well as running a startup is actually challenging because in the degree
It's,
program you get to do multiple courseworks and you get exams and you get so many deadlines, right? So in
yeah,
that case, it's really important to manage your time between the corporate startup work as well as uni work. So in that case, I learned many things about time management and also about the work prioritization. Because
yeah,
if you have the right prioritization of work, you can definitely do anything. So I would say you can do anything if you have the right prioritization of work.
yeah,
So I actually learned how to prioritize work and how to like allocate times and all those things. So that's
yeah,
one of the key important things that I learned about.
yeah,
Also, I learned about like things like creative thinking, financial management, HR management, and there are more other soft skills that we should learn being a startup founder.
yeah.
So it actually gives you a really good background to learn multiple things. So that's one of the most important things that I can share. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. That was extremely enlightening. Now, obviously, all of our viewers would like to know what sort of plans do you have for the future of your startup? What sort of expansions? What sort of fields would you like to go into? What sort of scenario is your company in that measure right now?
Yeah. So when we initially started our business, we were more like a freelancing firm that provides services to companies, basically such as services like website developments, mobile applications, and all. So we right now our plan is to expand it to different industries such as hospitality, telco. As I mentioned, there are so many industries that we can expand our business to
Yeah,
by providing products and by providing sales solutions. So we are right now working on expanding to other industries as well as we are working on our own products. So some of the products are about to release at the end of this year. So yeah, those are the main things that I can share about our expansion and the growth. Also, we are planning to expand our team, and that's one of the things that are
yeah,
important when
yeah.
you're scaling up our businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Suresh. Also, a very important question for right now in this country, particularly, what sort of difficulties did you have to face through during this crisis in Sri Lanka? How has that affected your startup company, and what sort of advices would you give to new startups to like persevere through this sort of environment?
Definitely. So we've been facing a lot of issues during this crisis period, especially when it comes to getting the payments on time from the clients. Because
Yes,
when it comes to the clients are also running in low budgets these days.
yeah,
Especially if you
exactly.
have like recurring clients, they might not have enough funds to pay you for the period of the crisis. So in that
Yes,
case, I would really advise to like offer plans like installment basis plans. So in
yeah,
that case, they will feel comfortable to pay you on time.
yeah,
So that's one of the steps that we took in order to gain the revenue during this period without also disappointing the clients.
yeah,
So yeah, so I would say you need to have a good financial strategy, like financial policy when you're accepting payments. Also, you can look into options like supply chain management options because they are
yeah,
provided by different banks in Sri Lanka. So you can even look into these supply chain options. So we've been utilizing all these services throughout the period of the crisis, and
yeah,
that helped us a lot to um, like keep our constant growth.
yeah.
And yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Suresh. That was extremely enlightening. Now, obviously, with your words and wisdom and the story of your journey, some of the students here must want to follow that exact same pathway and follow your footsteps. What sort of advice would you give to a student that was in your position during like the undergraduate position? What sort of advice would you give to us, the youth in that sort of position?
Yes. So first of all, you all need to work on expanding your network. So that's one of the most important facts that I would like to share. Because without context, it's really hard to get businesses because there are many people are trying out platforms like Fiverr, Freelancer, Upwork, and these platforms to get the initial businesses. But that could be challenging at this point because there's a huge competition that has grown in those platforms. So I would really say it's really important to gain important contacts from companies, from maybe through some recommendations of your friends. So it's really, that's why I've always mentioned the networking is really important. So like I did in my early stages, you all can take part in community events, hackathons, competitions, and there are many other networking events that are happening around the country. And there are like startup accelerator programs that you all can take part. So first of all, expand your network and then gain those businesses and turn those contacts into clear contracts to contracts. So that's one of the key insights that I would like to share. Also, to have like a right prioritization of work, you need to have some good time management skills. So during the undergraduate period, it's really important to manage your time and with right prioritization. So make sure to improve your time management skills because you are doing a full-time degree and it's not an easy task because when you get to the final year also you have to manage so much of time with the right prioritization. So improve your time management skills and find the right team because the team is really important. When you are facing some issue, when you are stuck with some deadline, you can dedicate one of your team members to work on something. So that's why I would always say you need to have the right team of people, not your friends. Find the right like-minded people, not just your friends, like-minded people. So that's the most important thing that I would like to share about finding your initial team, and they should have the capability to sacrifice their time as well. So in that case, if you have the right team, definitely you can thrive in the industry and you can grow your business to the next level.
Yes. Thank you extremely, Mr. Suresh. And again, thank you so much for allocating your extremely valuable time to joining us today in this startup series. And good luck for you and your startup's future endeavors. And with that, we have come to the end of our first segment of our startup series. I believe this segment has been extremely useful and valuable to all of our viewers. Thanks again for watching, and this is the FOSS and Mozilla community of IIT. Stay in tune with us through our social links down below and keep an eye out for updates on our signature projects. See you soon with another segment of the startup series. Thank you for watching.